Hello there, everybody. Got to have a little Freddie Mercury on a Monday. Oh, you got to love it, man. I mean, woo. All right, let me put that to the side there and get on where we are here. So welcome, everybody. Happy Monday to you. So glad to see you and welcome. So, well, I hope you're doing well and that your groove is on. So I think there I am hitting all the buttons and I got everything on the up and up. So what's happening, Soul Tribe? Good to see you. It's Monday. Gotta love it. I think we have 3 more Mondays and maybe only 2. I don't know. The year's going by quick. I think we have about 3, I think. Yeah. Anyway, hey, Jules, what's happening? So many people in the chat room. Hello, Deborah, Gaia. Saw y'all there earlier. Scotty Boy, Lady T, how you doing? Deborah, David Castle, how are you? And Rufus. Hello, Nina. Nina's going to be on Thursday, so looking forward to that. Hello, Martin and Heidi and Tony, of course. Much love to y'all. Let's see. Isby, what's up? Hey, Julie. Hello, Emperor Rex. So, yeah. Speak in favor over all of us. Do that all the time. There's a reason, because every time I do it, it's sowing a seed. And, hundreds, thousands of people hear it. So, just call me Favor Appleseed. That's all I got to say. Hello, Robert V. How are you doing? So good to have you, brother. Robert Scott, good morning. Snow is in the air. Bring it on. That's all I got to say. Our nights here in Colorado are not getting cold. I think we had one night that was about normal, but yeah, when your daytime lows don't happen and they're 35 degrees above where they should be. Yeah. Something happening. Elderberry, how are you doing? So good to see you. Peter, good to see you as well. What else is happening? Snow here as well. Send it our way. That's all I got to say. We've got the month of May. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. There we go. See how it goes? Hey, Shannon, what's up? Good to see you. You got to smile, folks. Hello, beloved Abstract. How are you doing? Good to see you. All righty. Yeah. So what else is happening? Lots going on. Karma. Here's something you should remember. Karma isn't just personal. Karma is also business. You know what I mean? And if your business hurts people, that karma not only builds up on that company, but those that give that company the life. And the check always comes due, always. And when you attack someone and you don't understand where they stand spiritually, and I can go into other things, you can get it's like poking a stick in a hornet's nest. You're going to get hurt. So anyway, we move right on along. Hey, man, Cal, what are you doing? Chloe, good to see you. Anyway, it happens, folks. There is a story that I will be able to tell, but not today. Hey, Jules, what's up down there in Australia? Street Mom, how are you doing? How is your nonprofit? If you have that, let me know. I'd love to put there so people could, kind of help you out there. She does a great job. I just got to tell you. And just an honor to have so many beautiful, bright people. All of y'all are. I look forward to doing this. Got a lot to cover. They believe they are a separate person. There's a lot of truth to that. Hey, Hadley, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome, Suzanne. Hello. And so our angel today is Yael. This is the angel of mental power. Deus auditor gemiton, God who listens and size. Patron of new technologies, IT specialists, programmers, computer users, innovators, inventors, and scientific minds. I'm an inventor. Helped invent 2 payment systems. One I invented all by myself. Anyway, so I guess that there are a lot of inventors in here. I mean, Big Al, he's got the cards done. We'll have more on that. Big Al and Perry, how are y'all doing? Good to see you. We send you much love. Hey, I used to see. How you doing, Marie? Good to see you, dear. Whoop. Let me get up here. Sorry, folks. I'm doing something right here. So now getting right on. So this time delay, you're going to be seeing the time delay, but it's already passed for me. All right. Teaches how to be more rational and reasonable. Nothing wrong with that. We could use a lot of that today. Helps to develop your intellect, facilitates concentration and focus, helps to clean and discipline your thoughts and to discern. One of the 12 gifts of the Holy Spirit is the spirit of discernment. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but anyway, got a little tidbit for you there. Gives the power to distinguish between things with certainty. That ain't bad. Improves programming abilities. Wow. Symbol of awareness, fluidity, and healing. Lucidity, excuse me. Have to be lucid to say that. Bestows us with strong reasoning ability and allows to find the balance between emotional, intellect, and physical aspects of our lives. Fills us with energy to overcome any mental health problems. Teaches control of emotional impulses and passions. Geminis really need that. I can just tell you that. Shows how to improve psychic abilities such as mental, projection, divination, mediumship, channeling, precognition, premonition, psychic surgery. Wow. Psychic surgery. Now, there's one we'll have to talk about. Psychokinesis and psychopy. Psychopy, yeah. Remote sensing and recognition and telepathy. We were just talking about that Friday. This is an interesting angel. Its primary day is January 6th to January 10th. It's ruled by Venus, and it is of the archangels. A very interesting angel here. Provides with knowledge about psychic processes, protects from lack of logic, false testimonies, and bad intentions, liberates from excessive thoughts, worries, fears, or control, cures anger, revenge, abuse of power, severity, and stubbornness. Wow. Interesting angel. I love these angels. All right. So, hey, there's Jenny. How you doing? Well, you know, and Street Mom, I'd love to have you on too. I'd love to tell the world about what you're doing. And because you're right there, this is what I love about it. There's so many people on the front lines, you know, we just don't talk the talk. We walk the talk here. That's what I'm saying. So in my moments of downtime, I go back and I really would, if you really want to know about history, actual history, not this history. You see, this history is what permeates the thoughts of today. This is an illusion. This God does not exist. This Jesus Christ does not exist. This religion does not exist. That goes the same with every other religion. Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, they're all made up. All their gods are made up gods. They have no power. And how we know this is because of these people. So the Denisovan are, let me show you what there is so much in it. It has corrupted all of us. All of us are of a corrupt seed, and that seed is a false knowledge, a knowledge that we really think is real because we got scriptures on it. We got holy men. Yeah, they're all frauds. Because you see, the true first holy men looked a little bit like this cat. They were tall. They stood about, some of them rather tall. They were the first true shamans. And the reason why I just made the statement I just made, because you see, in all of our discoveries of these people, how they migrated and how their influence went across Europe. There is so much in this book that I could bring out to you. These also are the same people that we see there at Göbekli Tepe. They were the mound people. They influenced primarily the Homo sapiens. They brought to us the shamanic understanding. They were the people that began to integrate, as I'm about to show you here, as you can see, as man began to move out of, there were two apparent different civilizations. It appears the ones that came out of Southeast Africa were the old gold mines, potentially with the Anunnaki. But these people have more of an influence on us today, sapiens, than any other genus of man, of Homo. Homo has many different genuses to it. But we're so deluded in our thinking, our belief system, we actually think there's a God up there called Lord. We actually believe that they rose from the dead, that they could do miracles, but no one ever saw them. No one ever sees a modern day God. No one ever sees anything, but will contribute it to the contamination that we have been a part of. Because I can tell you, there ain't no Jesus in these people's writings. There's no Hebrew God. Hell, there's no Sumerian gods. So you care to tell me? You want to argue with me that this crap that we're in today, people believing it's the end of the freaking world. Why? Because of the contamination. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. Folks, it's just a fact. These people lived, and you won't find them in the history books. They have been wiped out. Their knowledge, what we have in the small aspects of the spiritual, came from these people. You see, ours is so convoluted, so clouded. We don't know what we're praying to. We don't know what we're talking to. But boy, we'll put you to death if you dare speak against their names. And it's bullshit. You look at the world today, the governments of the world, all contaminated because of this crap right here. Oh, you don't have a choice over your body and all this other bull BS. We enslave each other. That's what we do. And we want to know why we have such bad karma? Because that's what we do. We're good at it. You see, where these people, we can't find anything about slavery. We know that these people were truly of a communal part of their culture and their society. Yet, we are completely devoid of their history, a history that has been wiped out. Why? Is there something that we may know or they don't want us to know? It's a powerful statement when you say that the modern gods are all frauds. I mean, if they were for real, why weren't they here? Why weren't they here? Okay. Folks, when you just come down and realize that, I had a chance just to get out into the wide open spaces, and the lunacy that impacts us all. For 50 years of my life, I prayed to a non-existent being. Didn't exist. Existed in here. That's what made it real. You see, that's what the problem is with us. And our theme today is, all right, so I take you on. So I'll tell you, you're full of bullshit. Let me just tell you, folks, I quote Jesus because, there is a philosophy within the sayings. And if you're not that bright to realize it, then, good sir, you're the one who has the issue. I love these people. They come in and you know why? Because it causes cognitive dissonance. It's like the woman, my wife and I, the couple we had dinner with, the nihilist questions. The nihilist questions blow away our philosophy, our religion, our politics. And so it gets a little tough. And all I'm saying is that you can't have a religion that replaces the real history. That's my point. This is real history. This is not. This is a typology that is put upon a historical time frame. That's how they fooled everybody. Woohoo! All right, so we're talking about free will, right? Came across an academic paper this weekend, and I wanted to share it with everyone because I thought, I use academics so much that now they actually asked me to write and review papers. And when I come across one that I really like, I'll do a review on it. And I thought, this is one that really is one that causes you to begin to do that double take. I know what I said at the very beginning in here is highly controversial with people. But the fact of the matter is you can't argue this history. If you want to come on and tell me how this history is completely ignored within every holy book of the world, every religion, everyone, why aren't these people and their belief system mentioned? Because they sure didn't mention our modern gods. So anyway, this is Giuseppe Roncoroni. I love that name, Giuseppe, So this is an academic paper, and let's get right into it because it's juicy. It says the neuroscientist's voice is imperious. Your body moves according to the constants of neural physiology, and you mistake it in believing that you can disturb the natural order. Even the behavioral scientist's voice is adamant. Do not believe that your will is foreign to the movements of the body, because otherwise biological evolution would not use the lures of pain and pleasure to make your choices advantageous in preserving and perpetuating the species. See, we think we have control of these bodies, that is considered to be will. But yet at the same time, when we think that, I'm going to move my hand, what I cannot comprehend, nor do I have any control over, is the over 1,000 different other anatomical functions in my body that doesn't need my will. So the person on this is, Giuseppe says, I believe both the neuroscientists and behavioral scientists are right. The will conforms to the natural order, but at the same time is present in moving the body. The answer to the question of the title will be as follows. Will is not an illusion at all. Abagano, the first conception intends freedom as absolute and unconditional. The second conception does not refer to the single man, but to the cosmic order. Hegel says the planets run free in the sky like gods without any force pushing them. So their first topic becomes free will surrenders to physics. The idea of free will arises from the impression that our will is endowed with absolute and unconditional freedom. Isn't that what we all believe? I have complete control and unconditional freedom over my body, my soul, my spirit, right? Invoking the opening words so as to direct the body like the helmsman maneuvers the ship. This is also the current notion of will. Free will was in vogue in the Middle Ages with religious disputes and continued into the modern era, until it clashed with the laws of physics in the 17th century. Today, scientific investigation makes the historical datum irrefutable. The will does not practice a divination in physiology when I perform a gesture. This is magic. Here I will pay attention to a couple of experiments to clarify how it is impossible to intend the will as a cause. So let's go on the first experiment. The experiment shows that a gesture made by me begins before I know it myself. The gesture is preceded by an activity of the frontal lobe. The primordial potential, which is equivalent to the will to act, and appears before this will is aware. This is a report. It says the Libet describes experiments on subjects whose brain waves are controlled by the electroencephalogram. I know I mispronounced that, but anyway, subjects were asked to bend a finger at a chosen time, noting their decision with a watch. Volunteers took 0.2 of a second to bend their fingers after making a decision. But their brains, according to the I can say that word because I had it already. Anyway, were showing activity already 0.3 of a second before the mind became aware of it. So let's stop right there because I want to show you something. I know I can. Anyway, let me show you something. I want to pull this up. So this is free will. This is what that article was just talking about. Isn't it odd? And in fact, if you begin to damage or manipulate, interrupt any of these key areas, you basically have a person that would almost be like a zombie. Hypnosis is one. Drugs, alcohol, where basically the will, what we call our will, is disrupted. And this is how it works. So free will is, as you can see in this graph, libertarianism, which then breaks down to simple indeterminism, or it could be agent causal libertarianism or event causal libertarianism. Or you could take the path of hard determinism. The free will then would have the soft determinism, the hard incompatibilism, which then you can take into the road of the other compatibilisms, which is mysticism, illusionism, and revisionism. This is what free will is. Fill in the blanks into each category. So who's driving the bus? That's the question. Oh, yeah. What is this that the Chinese rover discovered? What is this cube up here? Anyway, I digress because, that's not part of the program. I love this. So, shall we continue? Why, certainly. All right. So, experiment number 2. Another experiment shows, so we realize that we don't control these bodies at all. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this last night when I was reading this, and it was like, okay, so if I want to put up one finger, now did I do that fast enough that the thought, the soul, the will sent an electrical impulse somehow into my brain, and within 0.2 of a second, those neurons went to the part of the brain that then said, lift up your right index finger. It's not free will at all, apparently. So another experiment shows that the impressions of voluntariness can be felt within a gesture that is aroused by artificial means. This is the procedure. Brickfold implants the electrodes in the frontal lobes and in the posterior regions. Stimulation leads to various responses. We were interested in a type of movement that is appropriate to the circumstances and is not perceived by the subject as a constraint. If the patient held a newspaper, then he folded it. If his hands were joined, he rubbed them, and so on. When asked why he made the movement, the patient replied, I don't know. Maybe I could have avoided it if I wanted. Brickford hypothesizes that the stimulation activates a system of neurons that presides over normal voluntary movements. This results brings us back to the positivist philosophy. The will corresponds to a cerebral function, which can be localized and manipulated. And the sensation of freedom is only an attribute of the function. We're not free at all. We think we are. Because in each one of us right now, when we say the word freedom, there are thousands of neurons going in particular, primarily this area of your brain right up here that tells me, by God, I am a sovereign, sentient being. I have a spirit that has a soul, and I have a body. But scientists say, In fact, if you know what a TENS unit is, if you want to keep your healthy nerves, buy yourself a TENS unit. As you increase the electrical stimulation of the two pads on your body, you will begin to see that at certain strengths, the body will have involuntary movements because of the electrical stimulation. My will can't stop it. No matter how hard I try, I know because I use it very regularly. And it's kind of really, you get up into higher settings, it's very interesting. But my will can't prevent that. Anyway, the model of scientists, the typical model of scientists prevailed when the utopia of free will collapses. The possibility of moving the hand to the other side or the other of moving the body as the helmsman maneuvers the ship would subvert the principle of energy conservation. That's the fourth law. The experiments just described are eloquent in confirming that intention is extraneous to action and reinforce the conclusion of scientists. Neurophysiology is complete in principle, and therefore the only properties of the brain that play the role of causes of behavior are the physical chemical properties. Suffering from a burn Savoring the sweetness of sugar and smelling cloves are processes where the experience of quality does not affect behavior. Hence, in order to maintain a thoroughness in the physical explanations of human action, we must admit that, contrary to common belief, it is not the annoyance of pain that causes me to avoid it, nor the taste of sugar that causes me to seek it. The importance of the will. The paradox presents itself to scientists. The project of biological evolution determined in me the stimulus of thirst. So I'm thirsty. Air's dry. My lips are dry. Is that my will? Or is that a higher function kicking in? Its purpose is that I feel relief from drinking and thus provide for the health of the body. Pleasure and pain are lures for inducing individuals to conserve and reproduce. So nature holds the will in high esteem and seduces me as if I were free to choose whether to do or not to do something. Here, I accept the news that the body is guided by physiology, but I have to guess how the will, although physically configured, can resume its role in action. I mean, is it your will, our will each day that gets, we get up? Is that because we will it? Or is there something beyond what we determine as a will? Is there a super will? I don't know. The communication of nature and will. There is a conjecture of the common man, the common scientist, which accompanies me this far and imprisons me in a check. The idea that conscious experience is preceded and provoked by an external world. Now, I renounce this inheritance and start again from the primacy of the conscience world. The psychic and the physics are in contact without prevailing one over the other. In the realm of consciousness, a unique piece is at stake in the psychophysical process. The psychophysical stimulus of thirst starts the psychophysical system of searching for water. The will is compatible and participates. So it's almost like we have this symbiotic relationship here. It truly does, in my mind, distinguish that there is a separation between what I perceive to be my will and maybe what may be a higher super will. I don't know. This is the key to interpreting experiments on will. The first experiment does not mean that the will is a false impulse at the mercy of the physical program, that the psychic trait of the will emerges in the unconscious. The second experiment confirms that the physical act can be physically manipulated. It is by definition and brings with it the feeling of will that characterizes it on the psychic slope. Makes us feel like we're in control. Now dig this. At the music lesson, at the gates of the cathedral, I meet my orchestra mates and their well-tempered instruments. Sebastian is the cello and Zephyr is the flute. I consecrate myself to the intimacy of the organ. Each of us will extract a series of musical notes from the instrument. A musician is forgetful, like all artists, and fix the notes with dots and strokes on a sheet. They are scribbles for those who are not familiar with music, but between us are signals that recall a note. It's a form of communication. My music sheet remembers which notes, which melody the organ will emit. Now, the maestro scrutinizes the score and invites me to the ceremony with a wave of the baton. There are some truths about relationships between music and musical score. They are crystal clear for me and for Sebastian and for Zephyr. Music exists before the score is ready. The names of the ante and antegato qualify the sounds that are not the signs. Signs are converted into sounds in reference to music. The score regulates the music, and the music does not influence it. The music rises freely in the mystical aura of the cathedral, while a breath of wind scatters the cards on the ground. I love this. There truly is this cosmic waltz going on. I mean, I wish all of us, and I speak this for myself, could become to a higher reality of really who and what I am, and this awesome relationship. I don't, if it's symbiotic, if it's covenant, if it's mutually beneficial for, my body. I don't know. Considerations of Pythagoras. So far, the psychic and the physics configured themselves as fields that have a different face, but an equal trend. It is true, but a last question remains open, which is, in psychophysical unit, the office of psyche and the office of physics. Music offers an analogy. The mind is music and the brain is a score. I love that. That's poetry. The mind is music and the brain is a score. I played clarinet for many, many years and played the bassoon, and, sheet music is, I can still read it, and it's interesting. And here I can dig this. This time, in the forms of notes, there are moments of meditative or emotional life. Each note is written in a network of neurons, and the sequence of their activation modulates the mind, just as the spots on the paper define the melody. Each of us thinks and wants in accordance with the score of our own brains. Finally, the certainties of the musician are also in the endowment of the philosopher. The notes of life anticipate their order. Happy or sad is the mood, but it is not the neurological chart. That graphic is symbol of a harmony that comes true in the mind. Only one is the music of the instrument, the music of man and the music of skies. Pythagoras perceives the celestial sympathy in an intimacy of the night and gives the opportunity to terminate this consideration fatally in company of the stars. How many have watched the meteorite shower this morning? Pretty cool. Shakespeare says, "The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treason, stratagems, and spoils. The motion of his spirit are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus." Wow. I got the music in me. Hazrat says, "I have come to the point where the music of the spheres resounds. Whole life for me has become music." They say at one time that the very sky used to play music. They said the early humans could actually put their hands up there and they could change the octaves. That's what they say. Barbour says, "The world is made up of the instants of conscious or unconscious life. Each instant comes to light because it resonates with the totality of the other instants. The music of the spheres is the only justification for the birth of the world." And here is the harmony, and that's kind of cool. Let's see if I can blow that up. Not literally, Okay. Can y'all see that? Cool. All right. And that was the end of that. Don't worry. So got another one. So we're talking about free will, right? Well, at least I am. Not really sure what you guys are doing, but all right. So then it gets into this. Because at the beginning of the show, I mean, I know that was, I did it intentionally. Because it gets people, some people get so comfortable in their theology and their ideology. We can never get to that point because that's when things begin to go awry. So resolving the three great mysteries: free will, consciousness, free will, and God. Now, the religion that I left, it was all based on punishment reward. It said that some entity made me or made my species, and it is said that it gave me a living soul. Still not sure what that means, but a living soul, and that I have a will. I have this free will, and I'm supposed to take my free will and give it back to this God, and, because of gratitude. And if I don't, then I've exercised my free will in an evil way. The problem with that foundation is it's false in its very construct. Because what's happening here is that you take off the focus of what this God is, right? And, it's like it says, well, I gave you something, but if you use it, no. It says the abstract. It says this essay celebrates a nearly 4-year collaboration to whom the writer says, I owe a great deal of debt and gratitude for rigorously exploring these insights of their own publications and then co-authoring this paper. So what this paper is, and I'm not going to get into because this is a much longer one, but what I wanted to bring it out, if you have it, if you want it, I can send it to you. The paper begins to break down this aspect of this relationship with an unseen, unknown deity, and apparently its will, and how that will is superimposed upon your will. You getting it? And that if you exercise your will and it's not in subjugation to this greater will, well, then your will has somehow violated a spiritual law. Now, how these spiritual laws come about, it always reverts back to the deity. It's the deity that makes the rules. Well, if that is the case, then what happens is that our brains are showing us something different, because our brains are saying that's not it at all. I showed you that the places of the brain where we stop and think, apparently making these cognitive decisions of will. I don't know if they're free or not, because I don't think that if you look at it in this construct, anyone is free, which then implies that our wills are being manipulated. Now, I want to show something in here. Give me a second here as he Give me 1 second. Yeah. So I found this paper in the Society for Physical Research. And it's interesting because what the research has shown, and this one they're dealing with DMT. And it's quite interesting what they have found. Now, all of you are very aware, and many of you in this soul tribe have been there yourself. I mean, taking those hallucinogenics. But this is interesting. DMT, for instance, is found naturally occurring in the brains of humans, mammals, and some other animals, as well in a broad range of species of the plant kingdom. We know. Although speculative, neurochemical research suggests that DMT may be made in the pineal gland, and is hypothesized that as much as melatonin helps activate sleep cycles, DMT activates dreaming and may also be implicated in other natural visionary states such as mystical experience, near-death experiences, spontaneous psychosis. Amazonian shamans may have made use of this chemical for its visionary properties for thousands of years and take it as a part of the declination frequently called anesthesia. I know I'm having the time of my life today. Anesthesia. I know I said that wrong, which translates from the Quercus, the vine of the spirits, or the vine of the dead. The psychedelic brew is taken because it gives rise to extraordinary mental phenomenon that have shamanic, such as synthesis, ostensible extra-dimensional precepts, out-of-body experiences, psi experiences, and perhaps most commonly, encounters with disincarnated entities. So it's when we take these hallucinogenics, they break the barrier down. And they're there. They're really there. And I don't know if you've ever, experimented with DMT, but yeah, it will definitely open up some channels. It goes on to say, when described by independent and seemingly naive DMT participants, the entities encountered tend to vary in detail, but often belong to one of the very few similar types with similar behavioral characteristics. For instance, mischievous shape-shifting elves, praying mantis alien brain surgeons, and jewel-encrusted reptilian beings, who all seem to appear with baffling predictability. This opens up a wealth of questions as to the ontology of these entities. The discussion of the phenomenology and the ontology of these entities mixes research from the parapsychology to the ethnobotany and to the pharmacology, the fruits of scientists, the foamy custard of folklore, the anthropology, the mythology, cultural studies, and related disciplines. If you want this one too, it's not that long, but I can tell you, wow, where does time go? It gets back into the whole question of free will then. All right, so I can tell you this, when I have been in these trips, there's an inner kind of voice that seems to be navigating. You're in for the ride. I mean, that's not going to change. But what is interesting is there is the sense, and I don't know if that's will, because I know I'm experiencing this. I know that it's a result of chemicals that are in the brain. I get that. And I seem to be both the experiencer and the observer. And when you meet these entities, they're out there. They're everywhere. They're here now. But we're so convinced that it's only us. Wood elves or rock elves, Robert V. Have you ever seen elves, Robert? That's interesting. Interesting, Robert. I have to go back and look at that. I mean, they have found that, mushrooms, particularly psilocybin mushrooms, are if people suffer from dramatic, stress syndromes, other type of deep emotional type of issues, paranoia, people who become anxious, those mushrooms do amazing job. One of the things when we were back in the day, I knew a lot of programmers that microdosed LSD, and they claimed that it gave them a more heightened awareness. And as they plugged in, they really plugged in. I mean, huge amounts of code. You see, I look at all the conversation in here. Sometimes that's what I really miss, Yes, Nina, that is right. It does actually, I think in many ways cures depression and post-traumatic stress syndrome as well. Yeah. I'm convinced at my young age, I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but at the age of 16, actually I was 15 when I took my first real trip, but I'm very grateful for the people I was around then. They were really, I would call really awake people. Meditating on LSD is an interesting phenomenon. Anyway, Elderberry says, I knew a depressed patient that mushrooms cured their problems. Yeah, it is so true. I mean, and isn't it always that? I mean, I often say this, nature gives us what we need. Man mixes bad alchemy with it. And that's what it is. It's bad alchemy. Remember the movie Medicine Man? That was a great movie. It was about the fact that, the doctor out there found the cure for modern day cancer. But I have no doubt that they have it. I don't think they're ever going to share it. I'm completely believe that, just don't think they're ever. Sean Connery played that, by the way. It was a great. Julianne says, I'm high on life myself. And that's, I wake up singing all the time. It releases a continual flow of endorphins. I know that. I know that when I have music playing in my head and I can hear it, or if I'm writing and I can hear it, I've learned that I can release these in my brain. And when I feel that there is, and we're all under attack, some more than others, it's just the nature of the realm here. That's why you want to have those angels around you. I can feel that. And then what do? I laugh, because I found out that laughter is like a dump of dopamine. I mean, you start laughing and you're just dumping into your whole body the good stuff, that kind of good chemical stuff that, it'll cure you. It's been shown to cure heart patients, cancer patients. I mean, just a number of things. You see, Linda, you're absolutely right. It does. It sets it for my. Now, the first thing I always say is I wake this up and I say, great favor covers my wife and I, nothing missing, nothing broken in our lives. All that has been taken from us is being restored. That was the first thing I say. I mean, I'm just trained that way. And then the song comes in. This morning was Cracklin' Rosie with Neil Diamond. Cracklin' Rosie, get on board. Doom, 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 doom. All of you know the song. Bum, bum, bum. I mean, how can you not get up happy? My wife says that it's like, I have this instant coffee pot. I don't drink coffee. She does. But, because I wake up and, let's get the band back together, man. Got to get the band. But anyway, that's just how it goes. See, this is what I like. Yeah. And I've told y'all my story when we used to go down back in the days when the farmers apparently weren't really aware of what the cow shit would actually grow. And we got out there the best time to pick the mushrooms back. Now this of course is 1970, 72. We would go into the cow fields, and ideally, if there had rained the night before, or if there was, down in Texas, down the Gulf Coast, it can get that fog and that mist. Oh man, the psilocybin mushrooms were that big. I mean, I had people from the University of Michigan who were wanting us to send bags of it, but the problem was we didn't know how to freeze dry it. But when we started partaking of it, it seemed like the cows knew we were partaking of it. They certainly surrounded us that time, and that was one of the most surreal moments. I mean, it's like you're acutely cognitive aware of what's going on, and you're trying to figure out, because those cows weren't around there when we started out there. Anyway, all the adventures. And now today you got pharmaceuticals now growing them, and you got pharmaceutical companies growing marijuana. I mean, you got the United States government owning patents on marijuana, on the same thing on psilocybin. What's going on here? That's what I want to know. But what they want to do is try to push the alcohol on you. With the alcohol is the worst thing. I mean, that's distilled spirits. Do you understand what that means? Distilled spirits? Figure it out. And that's why, it's just me that, hard spirits, right? That's why they always amused me growing up when you could see and go in the store and they say spirits, spirits sold here. They ain't lying. Their spirits are sold. His big brother holding comments for, I don't know who that is. So let's get the band back together. Yeah. All right, folks, this has been fun. It is. I always like talking about this because this is what we get to do. This is an hour. You know how rare it is? Y'all know, to find people of like mind where you can actually talk, theology, eschatology, ideology, foreverlessology. I just made that one up. So I'm just trying to read all this. Twilight says, I do not drink alcohol. Methuselah, meth. Isn't that interesting? Meth use law. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Robert Scott was talking about the old Christmas cards with the mushrooms and the elves. Yeah. Don't tell me those people didn't know what they were talking about. I lived with a guy back in the day, Nelson Benoit, and Nelson had a relative. She owned a bar, and I was an artist, and because I would drop, LSD or whatever, and I'd start painting. Well, she wanted me to paint this Alice in Wonderland scene. And the point that I'm getting to is when I was doing the mushrooms, that it seemed to really come alive. I mean, wow, what a memory. That's going back in time. All right. Thank you, Jackie. Spirits in the bottle to order. Jenny, you're absolutely right. And, and it's true. I mean, I've seen people, because I owned a bar at one time, and you got watch people how they drink. And, you found out that there were certain liquors that those people shouldn't be drinking. I mean, they could drink a beer or something like that. They seem to be fine. But if whiskey was the one that I always found to be, it always brought out violence in people. Scotch for women seemed like women who drink Scotch, they were the crying drunks, and they're the worst. I mean, you get a woman who is highly inebriated, and she starts on this crying thing. And I mean, I felt like Lucy with the sign in, the doctor is in. All right. So much fun here. Thank you all. Tomorrow I got Miss Trina. So make sure they're in the contest below. And thank you all. I mean, this is just a joy. It's a privilege to be here each day. And I thank you all for tuning in. It's just, I love it. Oh, interesting. On the Martin, I did not know that. Interesting. You see, you learn something here all the time. All right. I love you folks. Vodka was the worst. I just remember the scotch. Because yeah, it was just it was always a bummer, man. I mean, yeah. All right, folks. Much love to y'all, and have yourself a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thursday got Nina, and I'm going to try to see if Karen is around and invite her as well. Linda, you were a bartender too. Yes. Yes, it is interesting. You how you begin to pay attention to things. Yeah. That's why we would have well, Delina, thank you. Much love right back at y'all. Jen. See? Okay. All right, folks. I'll see y'all later. You know, I'm gonna make a tree and leave. I'm gonna get like a hockey player. I'm gonna get the puck out of here. And yeah, I think we